Babar Azam on debut gets to his 50.
3 consecutive one-day international hundreds.
Here we go! What a century from Babar Azam under pressure. He's 10th in ODI.
Babar Azam.
Babar Azam is their new hero, the modern hero, the captain, the leader.
He's probably the top batsman in the world right now across formats.
The king stands tall once again tonight.
Bobsy the king. Yeah, king. Yaar king kar lega.
She's given him Erasmus has given him straight away.
That's a brilliant catch.
Babar Azam's gone. Edge and gone!
Cleaned him up.
बाबर की इस टीम में T20 की टीम में जगह नहीं बनती.
Would he get into an England T20 team? No. An Australia T20 team? No. An India T20 team? No.
In a country that's known for fast bowling, Babar Azam stands out in a league of his own. No Pakistani batter has ever captured the public imagination quite like Babar has. Babar debuted for Pakistan in 2015, and over the next 4 years, he smashed all kinds of records, including 3 back-to-back centuries against the West Indies. And in 2019, the Babar era officially started after he took over the captaincy from Sarfaraz after Pakistan failed to make the semi-finals of the 2019 World Cup. There were concerns about how he would manage the increased responsibility and pressure at the age of just 24. But the start of the Babar era was pretty positive, and some of those positive trends continued throughout the next 5 years. Let's take a look at some of them. Babar inherited a well-gelled team from Sarfaraz, and he built on this solid foundation to create one of the most united Pakistan dressing rooms ever seen. It's easy to forget today that player politics and toxic dressing rooms have been synonymous with Pakistan cricket. Whether it was the captaincy merry-go-round of the 90s, where the team had no less than 10 captains, including 5 in just 1995 alone, or the infamous Oathgate against Yunus Khan's captaincy in 2009. Babar's era, for the most part, was the most united the team had possibly ever been. So united, in fact, that when his captaincy came under scrutiny, key team members like Shadab and Shaheen backed him publicly. And this unity was reflected in the team's performances too, as Pakistan put up a strong showing in Babar's first 3 tournaments in charge. Even more surprisingly, for perhaps the first time in their history, the team, inspired by their captain, became comfortable chasing down big totals, which leads us to our next point. Similar to player politics, Pakistan and collapses have also historically gone hand in hand. Under Babar, however, Pakistan transformed into a side that was comfortable chasing down big totals, and a cornerstone of this newfound confidence was the opening partnership between Babar and Mohammad Rizwan, who combined to become the most successful T20 opening pair in history. Their highlights included chasing down record totals, including 200-plus scores against South Africa and West Indies in 2021 and against England in 2022. While there were some complaints surrounding their strike rates, especially when batting first, no other Pakistani opener managed to stake a strong enough claim to replace the pair, with the most recent failed experiment coming in the shape of Saim Ayub. While Fakhar Zaman had a better strike rate, the difference wasn't explosive enough to justify his average, which was less than half of the other two. Now, that was T20, but the records didn't stop there. In ODIs, this included a record chase of 349 against Australia in 2022, as well as the highest successful chase in World Cup history for any team, 345 against Sri Lanka in 2023. In fact, Pakistan even managed to win on Duckworth-Lewis when chasing down 401 against New Zealand in a crunch World Cup game. In tests, Pakistan completed their second highest successful run chase against Sri Lanka and even batted out 2 days to draw a test against Australia in Karachi. Babar himself led from the front in several of these chases, and fittingly, this included the crowning achievement of his era. Yes, we're talking about 152 not out. Pakistan's winless record against India in World Cups across formats covered over 12 matches and stood for over 30 years. Legendary figures including Imran Khan, Wasim Akram, and Misbah-ul-Haq were unable to break the jinx. And then, it finally happened. And in some style. The psychological shackles were finally broken, and Pakistan would no longer be tormented by the ghosts of the past. Or so it seemed at the time at least. The next 3 World Cup encounters would all somehow end with Pakistan crumbling under pressure and choking at the big moments. And the manner of these losses, amongst others, highlighted the negative side of the Babar era. Despite deserving credit for creating a strong team spirit, even Babar's most loyal fans wouldn't label him a tactical mastermind. And all too often, this would come to haunt Pakistan, especially in the big games. Examples include not keeping a fine leg in the final over the 2021 semi-final when Shaheen was bowling Yorkers and Wade's trademark shot was the scoop, giving the last over to Nawaz no less than 3 times, even though it had repeatedly proved to be unsuccessful. And the most recent blunder of not keeping a long off against the US, even though that was one of the few scoring areas available to the batsman for the line Rauf was bowling. All too often, it seemed that Babar was more comfortable sticking to pre-decided plans rather than making in-game changes according to the match situation. For example, repeatedly gambling on Haris Rauf in the power play in the 2023 World Cup, even when regular power play bowlers like Shaheen were already under pressure from the other end. Even a quick glance at his PSL captaincy record will show that Babar has the weakest record amongst his peers. And nowhere was the defensive nature of his captaincy more exposed than in Pakistan's home test series in 2022, where the team was unable to win a single match out of 8 against Australia, England or New Zealand, all of whom hadn't visited Pakistan in over 20 years. Pakistan could clearly be seen employing negative tactics like spinners bowling a leg stump line and batters playing for draws after preparing pitches so flat that they received demerit points from the ICC. And this overall negative mindset and the failures at critical moments over time seeped into the psyche of the team, leading to some of the worst collapses in Pakistan's history, such as against India in the 2023 World Cup as well as in the 2024 World Cup. Of course, not all of the blame for weak tactics can be placed at Babar's door. There is a think tank as well as other stakeholders involved that determine what resources are available to the captain. But the captain ultimately has a say in team selection and strategy, and that's what brings us to our next problem of the Babar era. Now, we know everyone has an opinion when it comes to team selection and the playing 11. Babar and the team management, to their credit, have generally tried giving extended runs to players even when they have been underperforming. However, the strategy of relying on all-rounders instead of developing a specialist spinner is one of the key failures that came back to haunt Pakistan in the Babar era. Even more concerning are reports that Pakistan's most promising leg spinner, Babar Azam, was kept out of the team by Babar, possibly to save his underperforming teammate and close friend Shadab Khan. Once one of Pakistan's greatest strengths, the team went into the 2023 World Cup without a world-class spinner in spin-friendly conditions. The only specialist spinner in the team, Osama Mir, had only played 10 ODI matches in his career, and ultimately the 4 Pakistani spinners combined picked up less wickets than Zampa, Jadeja, Rashid, Maharaj and Yadav did on their own. A similar story can be seen in the 2024 World Cup, where players like Rashid Khan, Adam Zampa and Tabriz Shamsi wreaked havoc, where Pakistan spinners could only contribute 3 wickets. And the failure to develop a world-class spinner has meant that Pakistan have only been able to successfully defend a total once against a top 6 side across 5 tournaments since the 2019 World Cup. So, if you're looking for a reason for why Pakistan failed in the last 2 tournaments of the Babar era, it's not strike rates, it's because you don't have a spinner. Now, sports fans will be familiar with the term clutch. When you think of clutch players, you think Jasprit Bumrah, Virat Kohli, Pat Cummins. Players like these have delivered under pressure and won so many games for their team that there is simply an aura of inevitability around them. There's a reason after all that they say Kohli chase kar lega. And yes, Hassan Ali might say king kar lega, but is it really true? Now, Babar has delivered some big performances across his career. His century at Gaul, batting with the tail after the team was at 85 for 7 comes to mind. Then there's his 196 in Karachi, where he played 421 balls to save the test against Australia. And who can forget his iconic century against New Zealand in a must-win game of the 2019 World Cup. But across his last 6 limited over tournaments, Pakistani fans have had to wake up to an uncomfortable realization. Babar just isn't clutch. Over 13 ODI innings, he scored 4 50s and 100, which was against Nepal, whereas in 18 T20 innings, he only scored 150. That's just 6 50-plus scores in 31 tournament matches. For a top-ranked batsman, someone compared to Virat Kohli, to go 6 tournaments without a single standout performance is a sobering realization that the hype and the expectations are not matching reality. During the same time period, Kohli himself has top-scored in 2 World Cups. Yes, there have been a few 50s for Babar along the way, but most of these were innings where he got out just when the greats of the game would have kicked into a higher gear. The lack of that next gear, along with the glaring weakness against leg spin, remain chinks in an otherwise strong foundation. An example of this comes from his most recent World Cup outing against Ireland. Babar held up one end while wickets fell, but it never felt like the chase was truly under control until Shaheen hit 2 sixes to get the team over the line. Now, at the time of the making of this video, Babar is only 29. He is already one of Pakistan's greatest ever batsmen. Even with underwhelming World Cups by his standards, he already averages higher at these events than all the greats that came before him. It's not by chance that his overall averages remain as high as they do, 9 years into his career. But the fact of the matter is that the onus is now on him to deliver on the big stage. Time is still on his side, but can Babar script a redemption arc and go on to become an all-time great? Is there still some hope for him to bring home the gold as captain? Or will giving up the captaincy help him find his batting mojo again, like Virat Kohli? Let us know in the comments. If you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe to our channel, and we'll see you in the next innings.